Hi guys, it's Sarina Fazan, and thank you so much for joining us for this episode of On the Record. All right, I was just saying, this has never happened to me before in my entire career. This show is supposed to be going live at noon, but the newsroom clock, I was not paying attention to it, and it wasn't real time. So we're actually starting at, let me look at my phone, 12:38. But this is very, very exciting. Thank you. Coming from the studios from CP Communications and Red House Streaming. Joining me from the studio is Jen Meister.
Hello, everyone.
An attorney with, yes. Okay, you say, just because I don't want to mispronounce any names.
No problem. Older, Lundy, Alvarez, and Koch.
And Michael Lundy is a great friend of mine, huge fan. He recommended you to be on this podcast. We have Kristin Votta joining us via from the studio remotely. Hi, Kristin.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh, of course. Okay, so share a little bit about you.
I am owner of the Votta Group, so I do executive coaching and focus on leadership development and other aspects of management consulting.
And you have the most beautiful, warm smile on the planet, isn't her? It's so amazing. And
very
Kristin, and I know I haven't even gotten to the topic of this podcast yet, but Kristin has a hard out at 1, but we might be continuing to go live. And then we have, okay, Mikhail, am I pronouncing this? You have to pronounce your name for me. He's coming live. He's coming to us live from Paris, France.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Michael Malarange. From Paris. I'm working in a communication for an health private insurance, and I am an intended parent, and I'm doing this wonderful journey with Kristin.
I know, and you know what? And your accent is so beautiful. I took French, all through high school, and I can only say basically bonjour and oui. That's it.
Oh, no.
But the topic of this podcast is adoption, surrogacy, the generosity of people on this journey to have families. And Jen actually had adopted 2 boys of her own, which we will certainly talk about. And I wanted you here as an attorney too, just to talk about, there's a lot that goes into it. But Kristin and Mikhail, let's start with the 2 of you. So Kristin, you are a surrogate. Can you share your story? And you have 2 beautiful, beautiful children of your own. But share your journey and why you wanted to do this.
Thank you. So this is a surprise to, I think, many. And it wasn't something that I knew that I would be interested in, to be honest. I didn't know a whole lot about surrogacy before my friend. She is a very good friend, and she let me know that she had been a surrogate a couple years ago, and that same family wanted to have a sibling. So she was going to do it again. And this was before the pandemic even started last year. And like good friends do, she said, "Why don't you do it with me?" And I had so many questions. And because she was such a great friend, I laid it all out there and did not hold anything back. I asked her why she did it. How did it go? And the more we were talking about it, you see, because she knew my husband and I had decided that we were done having children of our own. We had decided that, and we actually made it so that we were done.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. We got it. Okay.
And it was a little bit before Valentine's Day 2020. So she knew this, and we were very fortunate that having children and getting pregnant was easy for us, because I know that's not always the case. And so the more she's talking about surrogacy, my sister was in the process of adopting 2 children as well. And so it was something that for me, I was interested in, but I didn't necessarily want to take away from children who needed to be adopted. And I know everyone becomes a surrogate for different reasons. but I decided to apply because I found out that there are certain areas of the world that they make it extremely difficult, if not impossible, for you to adopt depending on who you love. And that's something that I don't agree with. And I felt like this was a way that I could make a little impact as far as that goes.
Oh my gosh, I have so many goosebumps as you're talking about that, Kristin, seriously. And Jen, I know that Kristin has a heart out because I have many, many questions for you with this adoption process, but I want to go to Mikhail right now and for you to share your story on when you decided to become an intended parent and what was your journey and how you were led to Kristin.
Since 2013, thanks to the introduction of marriage for all in France, homosexual couples now have the right to adopt children. It was new for us, but in reality, it is almost impossible for a gay couple to adopt in France or abroad because we are not given priority. So the procedure here are very heavy and very long. It could take more than 10 years to have a child if we decided to adopt. So we did not want to engage ourselves in such a difficult procedure, which could have led to nothing. So then we knew about surrogacy by meeting couples who had their children like that in using surrogate in the United States. So after thinking about it for 3 months, we decided that it would be the best solution for us. And with time and experience right now, we even think that this is an ethical way to have a child. This is a beautiful story to tell to a child, we think. And this is a story of love. Kristin told us maybe 1 week ago, this is a little bit of science and a lot of love.
Oh.
And I think this is really true, and this is it. This is a story of science and love, and we are so proud and so happy to have Kristin with us. But this is not an easy way for a French couple to start this journey in the US. In maybe 9,000 kilometers from her home. In France, this is really difficult. This is forbidden. So this is a hard process, but we are so lucky to have Kristin and her family by our side.
Wow. I mean, okay, so Jen, when you're hearing both of their stories and you hear Mikhail say, 10 years if they wanted to do the adoption process. I know that the laws are different in every state, but give us a little snapshot of your personal background. I know you also worked with the Department of Children and Family Services for a while because you love children and you're so passionate about children, and now your career as an attorney is so focused on kids.
Yes.
So tell us about you a little bit.
So yes, I've been a lawyer for about 12 years, and I started out working for the Florida Department of Children and Families, and I was prosecuting child abuse cases, abandonment, neglect, when the state essentially has to step in and protect a child and to give the family, the biological family services to try to rehabilitate that relationship and reunify or place the child back into the home with their parents. Being a parent is the highest and most coveted right and entitlement that you have. And so just as difficult as it is to build your family and to create that relationship, it's just as hard to terminate that relationship. And there has to be very significant safety concerns that just cannot be remedied at that point. And I had spent a lot of years prosecuting these cases, coming into just meeting new people from all walks of life and hearing their stories. And it was very clear to me that my heart was in being an absolute advocate for children. And as we were going through, I was in a specific court hearing. And in Florida, the children in dependency cases are parties, so they have the right to speak and be heard. And the child raised their hand, kept raising the hand, and everybody was just going about their business, for the hearing. Kept raising his hand, and so finally the judge said, what would you like to say to me? And he said, can I please just have glasses?
Oh, how old was the child?
He was only 9.
Oh.
Can I please just have glasses? And I sat back in my chair and I felt a profound sense of responsibility. How did that miss several adults sitting at a table, a judge, case managers, all these people that touched this child's life and this family's life? How did we miss that? And I took personal responsibility for it. And I remember going home that night and talking to my husband and saying, I need to be more a part of the solution. I need to be more a part of getting children what they need and giving them stable and beautiful homes. And that was when we decided together to become foster parents, which was its own, it was its own journey. And at the time, we didn't know that we had fertility issues. So we were doing it purely from our heart, wanting to open up our home and parent children that needed good care. And as we were going through the process, which took several months, we also were like, okay, we would like to build our family as well. And then we were literally doing 2 separate processes. So we were foster parents and then taking children in, and then we were also going through fertility treatments and things like that. So it was a very difficult and hard time. And I want to touch on something that Mikkel said, which is, you look at what your options are when you're faced with certain circumstances, and you have to make a decision about how best to build your family and what really works for you and your spouse, or if you're doing it as a single person. And so the beauty of the advances in science is that we now have these different types of ways to build our family, and adoption sometimes isn't the best route, all based on what your circumstances are coming in. Sometimes the surrogacy doesn't work. There's financial concerns, there's time constraints, there's also immigration constraints, which I'm sure Mikkel and Kristin are dealing with now as well.
Well, I have so many questions for you, but again, we know that Kristin has a heart out at once. So Kristin, let me bring you back in. And I know we're not, specifically talking about agencies and things like that, because this is, as Mikkel said, a story of love.
Yes.
It is, honestly, I cannot stop the goosebumps, So did you have any say though, like on who, I know you touched upon that you really wanted to help a couple that may have more challenges, to have a child. But can you talk to us about that process as well? And how are you feeling? How far along are you? And are you allowed to say what you're having? Those are several questions.
So many surprises. So I'll talk a little bit about the process. So we did end up, I lucked out in meeting Michael and Gregoire through an agency. I did apply after talking it over with my husband and some family members. And I found out that my mom was almost a surrogate after having.
Wow.
You're kidding.
No, I had no idea. And I just felt like there was just this sudden sense of peace for me that this is really what I'm supposed to be doing, because people might have questions. This is likely the first time people are hearing that I'm a surrogate, and they might have just as many questions as I did for my friend. But just a little bit about the process. When I applied, I was actually really nervous that I wouldn't get chosen, because we went through it. It's a large agency. There are a lot of agencies, and this one happens to be one of the larger ones. And they said that they get something like 20,000 applications to be surrogates every however often, and they only pick a small percentage. But I think by going through the application process, it debunked any preconceived notion that I had, that I didn't realize I had, about what surrogates do, who they are. We had to prove financial soundness, our finances. We had to prove that we weren't doing this because we needed the money. I needed to go through psychological testing. Kevin had a 90-minute interview to prove that he was on board. And a big, huge kudos to my husband, because without him, this wouldn't be possible. And not just because the agency wouldn't take me on, but because he's such a big support in this. And his role has just been nothing but generosity and love, as Mikhail said. So yes, and as I've told some people in my life that I am one, the biggest comment back was that they were surprised I passed the psychological part. And I did. But it was after that they immediately start with getting some basic contracting stuff done. And they have I didn't go through a booklet to choose what parents I wanted to work with, and they didn't have a booklet either. Sorry.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but when you were talking about going through a booklet to change your parent, to choose the parents, they don't have that, right?
They don't.
Okay.
They actually have, this agency at least has people who match you. And I, slightly unrelated, I had just started growing my business in Philadelphia because I have family there, and that was a very intentional thing that I did to grow my client base there. And it was going so well right before the pandemic hit. And I said, where do I want to build business next? If it's going to go like this. And I literally said France.
Wow.
And then when I get matched with these guys, these are not my clients. These are my family. Just like in Philadelphia, I picked Philadelphia so that I could visit family when I went to go work with clients. These guys are now my family that I'm going to go visit when I get clients in France, because that's what I want now, right? I want to be able to go to Paris more often. And it all just seemed to really line up. And because of the pandemic, it's now been well over a year since we met these fine gentlemen, and they have become family quickly. And I know that's not everyone's experience as a surrogate. I don't think it's a coincidence, and I'm incredibly thankful for these two.
Well, Kristin, I'm going to keep you on because, again, I know she has a heart out, and I'm hoping that Jen and Mikhail, you can stay with me. But Kristin, let me ask you this, and I do want to point out that when we take your full shot, you just became also an author. Congratulations on that, Controlling the Pause. So her book is like right there. Yes, of course, your book is right behind you. So, can you talk to us a bit about how you are feeling? How far along are you, and how that process is going?
Sure. So this is maybe a bigger shock to many people now. So I am pregnant, and we are about 11 weeks along and about 70 shots later, because that was one thing that I had not experienced before. But the way that we do this is not my egg, and obviously not my sperm either. That you go through the IVF process. And for the first 10 weeks or so, I was taking medications to make sure that my body did what it needed to do. And we were very fortunate that the first time the transfer of the embryo took. And I've been very safe and very happy and very tired growing their baby.
So do you have plans? And again, I'm very mindful because since you have to go, and then I'd like to keep Mikhail and Jen on. Do you have plans then after the baby is born, as you said, that you will go and visit your new family?
So that's actually one of the questions when being interviewed as a surrogate and filling out your own profile is some want to be a part of the life after, and some don't. And some parents want the surrogate to be involved and some don't. And even though this is a first for both of us, we said yes. So yes, they have been very vocal and warm and accepting and just above and beyond making sure that I'm okay and taken care of and checking in to see how I'm doing. So yes, I look forward to my own kids going to Paris someday. Kevin too, if he wants. I'm just kidding. Of course, Kevin.
He's great. He's great.
Yes, I think that I joke around that when we had that first initial meeting to see if, we had 24 hours to decide, did we want to move forward or not? We had a little Skype call and we got off the call and I was like, I want to be with them so badly. And I really think that Kevin clinched it was the joke. Kevin is just such a great guy. And he actually was surprised that I didn't want to be a surrogate sooner. And
Wow.
I did not know that until he was sharing that with these guys. But yeah, he knows that if we want to have more kids later, we are going to adopt. So in the meantime, this is just a really perfect way for us to make the difference that we want to make. And these amazing, extraordinary men get to be parents. They will be phenomenal dads, just amazing.
Well, you are amazing. And before we let you go, I'm going to go. And before we go to a commercial break, and then Jen and Mikkel, I'd like you to stay because I know, Kristin, you have, again, a meeting, an entrepreneur always. She's working constantly. Mm-hmm. Do you have any final words before we go to the commercial break?
Just that I think if I didn't have someone that I could ask all of these questions to and be really frank about being a surrogate, I probably wouldn't be one now. So I would just love to offer that to people. If you have any questions or concerns or what ifs, yeah, buts, if you're considering doing it, I would just love to I'm here to answer any questions that you have and just be an open book about it.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Okay, how can people get a hold of you?
Do you want my cell phone number? My email.
You know what? Actually, you know what I'll do? We'll share it in the article on how, because that's so generous and so wonderful. So thank you so much for joining us. I know you've got to go, so we're going to go to a commercial break, and then Mikkel, Jen, and we have a lot to talk about. I feel like after hearing, Kristin's amazing journey. Yes. All right, we'll be right back, everybody. I'm Sarina Fazan, and like most people, my skin is a priority. When you look good, you feel good. That's why I turned to South Tampa Dermatology, a full-service medical and cosmetic dermatology practice. Dr. Flynn and her dream team offer the products, services, and procedures I need to keep my skin healthy so I can perform at my very best, and they can do the very same thing for you. It's affordable, and your confidence is priceless. Just head to stderm.com or call 813-872-9551 to make an appointment. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to On the Record. Wow, what an amazing story we're talking about. We're talking about the journey to become a parent. Kristin Votta, who has decided to be a surrogate, was just on the show, but she had a 1 o'clock appointment. We started late, so we had to leave. But I have Jen Meister here, who's an attorney, and Mikkel joining us from France, from Paris. So, Mikkel, after hearing what Kristin said, oh my gosh, how are you feeling?
Emotional. Because I remember the first time we've met on Skype and how scared I was, and she's right. This is a sign. This is the best person we can ever dream about. We are building an international family in which everyone has a place. It is so wonderful to experience this. We are so grateful. I have a thought to Kevin, Kristin's husband, who has supported this project since the very beginning. Is the only one in this journey who does all this just for others. I really want to thank him because this is really this is. Thank you so much. It's amazing. We are living I think we are living the most beautiful human story of our lives. Meeting Kristin and a family is the best thing that ever happened to us. It is not easy for two gay French people. All of this is normally forbidden for us. So this is not easy to understand how a woman and her family, Kevin and her children, are ready to offer their time and energy for a couple who do not know. We are really lucky that everything went well so far. Kristin's support is very important on all these issues, and
It's amazing.
this is unbelievable. We are living the most beautiful human story.
So, Mikhail, how long have you been with your partner? How long have you been with your partner? You and your partner. How long have you been together for a long time?
11 years since March 19th.
Well, congratulations, because you look very, very young. I mean, oh my gosh. I mean, so I want you to know so Jen is here if you wanted to ask her questions as well. I'm going to go back to you, of course, but feel free with Jen here that you can ask her a question. So Jen, what you were talking about, and you also have two sons that you adopted.
Yes.
You know, hearing Mikhail's story about, so oftentimes I think we do take it for granted on becoming a parent. You know, I was very blessed when I had Sammy that I was just, able to get pregnant at a later age, and I had her. But I had several friends of mine that had to go through in vitro or decided to go through the surrogate route. And I know we earlier in the show you mentioned about your boys, and you just started to share the story on you and your husband went through in vitro.
Yes.
And so what happened?
So it was a very long process because each step sort of has to be met, and there are some legal complications for that as well. So, for instance, you start out with, okay, they don't really know what the fertility issue is. Most couples go either because they know they're sort of an older age, or they've been trying for some period of time and it's not working. Or they're coming in with different circumstances where they know they're going to have to use some kind of assisted reproductive technology to build their family. So the first step is they just sort of do a complete medical workup of you, blood work and everything else, see if they can find anything. Usually that doesn't really happen. Then the next step is they try medications. So Clomid, there's several medications on it, based on your blood work and your hormones and everything else. That takes time. And I do want to give a very specific credit to the fact that when you're going through this process, all you want to do is be a parent.
Right.
So every minute, every second, it just feels like a delay. It feels like forever. It feels like you'll never get there. That's why it's almost euphoric when you get matched with a surrogate, or you hear the news that you're pregnant or things like that, because it's just, every moment is so vital.
So speaking of that,
Sure.
and I know you're sharing your journey as well, when you heard Mikhail say that in France, how difficult it was to even think about the adoption, process, and then, going this route, just as someone who's gone through this, and as an attorney, what is going through your mind?
A profound sense of connection to him, understanding how unfair all of it is. And Kristin had touched on this, where they kind of make you go through psychological, speaking to someone. And I actually, my husband as well, we had a therapist for a very long time, because it's not fair. Why can't there's nothing wrong. I would be an amazing parent. He, of course, and his spouse would be amazing parents. And just because of injustices and poor thinking and all of these stereotypes that are not true and not accurate, he has to go this route to build his family.
Wow.
So it's this profound sense of connection that I feel to him.
So Mikhail, speaking of that, did you also have to go through like a psychological analysis, just as Kristin did?
No. We have a meeting in Paris with the representative of the agency, and then we just have to present our project and why we decided to choose this way, and not the adoption. And this is when we met the representative of the agency. He is gay, and he understood exactly why we decided to choose this way, because he is he has the same obstacle. I don't know if it's the word in English, but it was for him as well a hard way to have a child. So he understood why we decided to take this way, and we just present the project, and they didn't judge us for that. If we decided to adopt, this is a long procedure with psychological analysts. They came at home to see if we are a good parents. It was something that we didn't want.
Wow. And so, Jen, just like what you were talking about, and I know that every state, in fact, is different. Of course, now we have international, parents
Right,
involved.
of course.
And you were sharing your own journey of that. It consumes you, right? You want
Yes.
you want to be a parent.
Yes.
So you ended up having your two boys, and you adopted them.
We adopted them through foster. So we fostered them their entire lives. There was a period of time where they went back to the biological parents, which was devastating. And then they were returned to us in 6 months because the issues that caused them to be removed were not rehabilitated. And it was, quite frankly, it was like a death. It was like our children had passed away.
I mean,
losing
honestly,
them.
again, goosebumps. I can only imagine.
Yeah.
So for parents for potential parents like Mikhail, and like Kristin, of course, is already a parent and now is a surrogate.
Yes.
What advice do you have from the legal side? Are there certain things we need to check? I mean, what do we need to do?
From the legal side, it is incredibly important to first reach out. There's several groups, several people who are going through whatever you're going through. And any circumstance that's there, there's a group for it. Facebook, in person, whatever. Finding those people and then speaking to them freely about your journey, your circumstances, and who they worked with. The absolute most important part of this process is to find competent professionals that not only understand the law and what they're doing in that state or internationally, but also connect with you. It's a relationship just like any other. You need to be able to connect with that person because this is one of the most significant and very difficult types of processes to go through. So you want to make sure that you're in good hands, that they know every step of the way what you need to be doing and how to protect you. Every single player should and must have their own attorney. So whoever's donating, she had said that she was using a donor egg. Whoever's donating would have their own attorney for the contract and negotiating the agreement. The intended parents have their own attorney. The surrogate has their attorney. The adoptive parents, the biological parents. Every single role needs to have their own attorney that understands how to protect you in your role, so that it ends up in a build a family.
And it's so like to hear everything that people go through, right, to become a parent. So, Mikhail, let me ask you, when the baby's born, and are we revealing the gender of the baby? Are we revealing if it's a boy or a girl? Or do we know?
Yes, we know, yeah.
Are we sharing? You don't have to share if you don't want to.
Yeah, this is a little boy. This is a little girl.
Oh, congratulations.
Congratulations.
So will you be traveling? Like how does that work? Will you be traveling to the United States when the baby is born? Do you have a name for the baby, or will Kristin bring the baby to you? How is that going to work?
Yes, we will be in the US 1 week before the delivery, and then we have to stay in Florida for 3 weeks after the delivery. So this is a total of 1 month, and we're gonna be with Kristin and her family for 1 month. It's gonna be great, and we are so exciting. I can't wait.
Well, you know what? When you are in the United States, Jen and I want to meet you too. So you have to make sure to come back to the studios. Now, Mikhail, before we let you go, do you have any questions for Jen at all?
Not a question, but I'm very admirative of a story, because she adopted 2 children before knowing that she has fertility issues. So I'm really admirative, and she said something really true. This is a personal choice, and adoption is a choice that it is not something which be great for everyone, and surrogacy as well. This is really a personal choice, and this is something really well she said.
Well, we so appreciate you joining us. And, of course, the show is live right now on Facebook and YouTube, but the video is there always. And your story, Mikhail, was so amazing. And just thinking of, oh my gosh, the only thing that you want is to be a parent, So we really thank you for being on this podcast. Once again, I can't wait to meet you in person. And we really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I will go to your studio when I will be in Florida, for sure.
Yes, we can't wait to meet the baby. We can't wait to meet the baby. Thank you, Mikhail. So, Jen, before I let you go, though,
Sure.
so for people watching at home, again,
Yes.
and you gave great advice, and you also said something earlier, as Mikhail had pointed out, that it is like the only thing people want, really, is to be a parent. And it seems like something you shouldn't have to work as hard for, right?
Yes. And because of that, it's incredibly important to have your support. I call it the team. You have your lawyers and your professionals that are protecting you on one side. You should also have sort of your mental health professionals that are protecting you on the other side. Your family, your team, your cheerleaders, because it is in a very, very emotionally difficult type of process to go through. And you tend to sort of struggle with, why is it so much easier for others than for me? But at the end, when you've built your family and when you've achieved the vision that you had for yourselves as either a married couple or as a single person, it is the most amazing euphoric experience you could possibly imagine.
And your little boys are 6, right?
They're
6 years
yes,
old.
They
and,
are 6.
And your husband just celebrated his 40th birthday.
Yes, he did.
What is
in
his
style.
name? I'm sorry, I should have asked.
No, my husband's name is Timothy Meister.
Okay, so Timothy, happy 40th birthday to you. Happy
Yes.
40th birthday. We're giving you
Yes,
a
happy
shout
40th.
out. So Jen, in closing, so we had, Mikhail joining us, of course, and we, this podcast will be all, people in France will be watching, and I know you also, again, touched upon this. There's people from multiple states that watch. So we're here based in Florida. The CP Communications and Red House Streaming is actually in St. Pete. I know your law firm is in Tampa.
Yes.
But for people who maybe live, in France or in a different state, you said go to social media, go to Facebook, or go to try to find the right person. And is it recommendations too as well?
To me, it's very referral based because, like I said, the relationship is just as important as the competence and the knowledge. And so what I was saying was reach out to other individuals who are, going through a similar process that you're going through, whether they've chosen adoption or whether they've chosen surrogacy, because they will be your best resources to link you up with the types of professionals that you should be working with. They'll be able to tell you competence and service and the types of things that you want to know when you're deciding who to work with.
Well, gosh, it was such a pleasure to have you on. Michael
Thank
Lundy,
you.
I owe you one because I called Michael Lundy and I said, hey, is there anybody in your firm that you would recommend? So it was so nice to see you. I'm sure you will be back on this podcast. Guys, this was
I'd love to.
Oh, I would love it if you came back on. Thank you for everything you do for children.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I mean, we need more people like you in the world. I know, guys, this was a very sensitive topic, but this was also a topic that people reached out and wanted to talk about. So we always encourage people to tell us what you want us to discuss. You can follow me on all my social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram. I mean, all of those.
So many.
Yes, there's so many. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Have a great, great day, and we do apologize for the late start. you.